Welcome into the Recruit Reaction Show. I got Steve Wiltfong hanging in the background. We're about to go to him. He's been collecting recruit reaction all across the country. We're going to open with the little Vanderbilt versus LSU. You guys watch that one as LSU falls to Vanderbilt 31-24. What a great week 8 this has been. We're only about halfway through. The number 2 team in the country, the Miami Hurricanes, already lost on. Can you believe it? Just when I came around to thinking that Miami, Steve asked me a couple weeks ago, Josh, who do you think the best team in the country is? And really since then, I've been trying to think about it. And heading into the weekend, I had convinced myself it was the Miami Hurricanes. I thought, man, nobody's more physical in the trenches, whether it be the O-line, the D-line. You got Carson Beck looking renewed, looking confident. Miami is the best team in the country, and that all came crashing down after the Canes with 13 days off. Miami had 13 days to prepare for a Louisville team at home, and they lose. That's just kind of the college football year it's been. So that being said, what are you guys watching today? Put it in the comment section. I want to hear from you, chat. Who are you fans of? Who you watching? Who do you think is the best team in the country? Here we are in week 8, the middle point of the season. It's been uphill to get here. It's all downhill from here. Who do you think is the best team in the country? Let's bring in Steve Wiltfong. Steve, you got me thinking.
Buckeyes.
Who?
Buckeyes.
Okay.
Ohio State's the best team in the country right now. They're up 20-0 on Wisconsin right now. They're the defending national champs. And I still think that they are building up into full stride as we get into the important months of the season. So Ohio State would be my number 1 team in the land right now. There's some exciting ball games going on right now. Texas Tech is losing on the road to an Arizona State team that has Sam Leavitt back under center 9-7. Kenny Dillingham and the Sun Devils are hosting some top recruits this weekend. And I was talking with Andy Staples this morning. Kenny Dillingham should be on the short list for these coaching jobs. 3 guys outside of the obvious blue blood names. If you're taking your swings at Lane Kiffin, Marcus Freeman, Mike Elko, that's one bucket for me. Then you have another bucket of the upstarts, or the guys that are deserving of another job that could win big. 3 guys. Clark Lee. Starts with Clark Lee. Phenomenal. Jeff Brom. Awesome. And then Kenny Dillingham. Those are.
What about Matt Campbell? Is he in that group?
No, I got Matt Campbell in the next tier behind those guys. I have Matt Campbell and Matt Rule in the tier behind those 3.
All right. Got of your tier 2s, though. 2 of them stand out in Clark Lee and Kenny Dillingham. They're both coaching currently at their
tier 1 of the second bucket.
They're both coaching at their alma maters. So what would it take to move there? And they're both having success.
So for
going home,
And Kenny Dillingham has said that this is a destination job for him and he's not going anywhere. But as far as I'm concerned, he has won a conference championship, got screwed in a playoff game loss, and had an exciting season. And if Sam Leavitt doesn't get hurt, they're right back in that equation, playing Texas Tech with the chance to control their own destiny. So we'll see what happens. I think he's done a good job at his alma mater. I think he could walk out of there and say, I did right by you guys. I'm going to go somewhere else. Maybe I come back.
Yeah.
Maybe
young. He is very young. So
maybe I swan song somewhere else. Jeff Brom is as good a football coach as there is in the country. He does not get very much involved in recruiting. But if he put together a staff that were great evaluators that hustled on the trail, he is as good a football coach as there is. You just put together the roster for him, and he will coach. He will maximize your roster. And then the third, Clark Lee, he checks all the boxes. Terrific recruiter, going to rally support for your program and raise funds. Obviously a really good evaluator. Whatever deck you give him, he's going to play as good. He's going to make it as good a hand as possible. Those 3 guys, if you're Penn State, right now they're the best open job, right? Penn State is. Maybe some of these others come open. Florida, Auburn are playing pivotal games tonight, in my opinion. Florida, it'll be interesting to see just what happens there in general, because we've seen that movie. Auburn's in year 3 of a put-up, shut-up year. They got to beat Mizzou tonight to show that they're turning the corner, in my opinion. And then we'll see what else comes open. But those are 3 guys. My favorite group of 4 coach is Alex Golish at USF, Josh. That is someone that I would interview as well for all of these jobs.
Mm-hmm.
And we go from there.
Yeah. All right. Great transition. Let's talk a little Vanderbilt recruiting. Diego Pavia walked into First Bank Stadium wearing the Shiesty mask. He struck the Heisman pose in the 3rd quarter, and he left with a top 10 win over LSU. Vandy drops the Tigers 31-24 at home. The Doors are now 6-1, Steve, for the first time since 1950. LSU, they dropped to 5-2 and just 2-2 in SEC play. Pavia had 3 total touchdowns, generating 250 yards of total offense, and he just might be the Heisman leader. Look, as we exit week 8, Steve. What a game.
They beat LSU for the first time since 1990. The stadium looks sharp on TV. The modifications that they've made, there's so much excitement around the program. The town in Nashville, what a place to go be a college athlete. Nashville, Broadway, that scene. Clark Lee came to his alma mater with the plan of turning Vanderbilt into a winner. They are certainly in the conversation for the college football playoff. They have the number 7 scoring offense in the country. They are balanced. It is a fun offense to watch. They have household names on the team. This is a defense that's number 15 nationally in scoring, or number 15 nationally against the run. They're one of the best defenses in the country in scoring defense. So exciting styles of play on both sides of the ball. They have a young coaching staff, a lot of energy, people that believe in Vanderbilt. They need to keep raising money. Clark Lee wants to win the SEC. They need to see the same investment in their program at Vanderbilt that you see at the likes of Georgia, Alabama, LSU, Texas A&M. Those are who they're going up against. He's on the Mike Elko coaching tree. He was Mike Elko's linebackers coach at several stops, Wake Forest, Notre Dame. He wants to beat Mike Elko. Yeah. Mike Elko's got every resource in the world right now. They're undefeated. They're in the top 5. They're playing Arkansas right now in a rivalry game. Vanderbilt, can you get there? Can you invest in the program like that? If you do, Clark Lee will never leave you. But right now, in my opinion, he is the best coach in the country for these open jobs. That isn't the names that people might be trying to circle. And he might be as good as those guys anyway. I just have them in 2 categories, like we said at the top of the show. But what an exciting time for Vanderbilt football. Great evaluators. They maximize their players. They scheme it up correctly. They're pulling the best out of these guys. And they're doing well on the recruiting trail. They had a couple flip targets there today, Josh, in 2026. Linebacker Karsten Bush, he's committed to Louisville. He's from Louisville St. Xavier. Louisville gets a big win last night against Miami. Jeff Brom's one of the top coaches in the country, in my opinion, as well. He's still committed to Louisville, but I talked to his trainer, Chris Vaughn, from Aspirations in Louisville, that's just pumped out so many athletes over the years. And he said, Karsten, he's committed to Louisville, but he's been eyeballing Vandy for a while. Commodores will look to get Karsten Bush back for an official visit, but that one's trending well. They also had rivals number 2 JUCO edge rusher Jalen Anderson in for an official visit. He's committed to FIU, but this one is moving in the right direction for Vandy. Programs like Colorado are starting to come around, but I think he's a fit at Vanderbilt. And so the Commodores are trending up. They were ahead of the curve with Jalen Anderson. I think what you're going to see is programs look at the way Vandy's evaluate and look at who they're recruiting, and they're going to say, hey, maybe we should be in on these guys. The thing is that Coach Lee and company have built such great relationships with these guys. They have a great coaching staff, so much juice, so much energy, so much cohesion. When you go in that building, you feel the symmetry, you feel the trajectory. of this Vanderbilt program, and recruits in that stadium felt the energy. It felt like a legit SEC game. So many times in our career, Vanderbilt was an afterthought as an SEC program. They had a small window under Coach James Franklin. Now under Clark Lee, we're talking about them in the college football playoff. They just beat a top 10 team at LSU today. They beat Alabama last year. They had Texas down to the last possession last year. This is a program that's shown that they're capable of playing with anyone in that conference. They had the recruits on campus there today with their commits, their flip targets, and guys in 2027 and 2028 to play in these kind of ball games for years to come. Producer Trey just put up the list there, Josh. Andre Adams, 4-star quarterback, having a fantastic junior season. He's from in-state. He's absolutely lighting it up. This was his second time at Vandy this week. He also attended a practice on Tuesday or Wednesday, was supposed to be at Auburn. Now he just decided to return to Vanderbilt for the game instead of going to the Auburn game. Lawrence Britt, one of the top receivers in the country, he's always included Vandy among his leaders. He sees the way they're playing on offense, who they're beating. That's realistic to keep Lawrence Britt at home in state. Some of these other guys that were on campus, how about the number 10 corner in the country, Allen L.A. Evans? He's from Louisville. Commodores have a really good shot at him early in his process. Garyon Hobbs, they're battling Notre Dame for the safety from Louisville. Cam Wade is a 4-star receiver that said it was amazing. Clark Lee's an amazing coach. That they're ready to win every single game they step on the field. Jarrell Chandler's a Rivals 300 safety who says Vanderbilt's amongst his front runners. He talked about the fans being super involved, how they're on the rise, and how the coaching staff is just so much positive energy. They had the number 2 safety in 2028, Casey Barner there, the number 10 receiver, Dedrick Kimbrough. Things are going well for Vanderbilt right now. They offered blue chip edge Jay Shell. He loved the visit. It's up now. Like, Vanderbilt's ready to turn the corner under this coaching staff. In my opinion, how much support are they going to continue to get financially to compete in these recruiting battles, to get the kind of players that they need to win the SEC year in and year out? A lot of these names that I mentioned, Vanderbilt's in the top 2 or 3. You know as well as I do that eventually there's going to be dollars and cents conversations. And where does Vanderbilt fit in when they're recruiting against the likes of Notre Dame, Michigan, and other prominent programs in their own conference? I think that's where we see them take another step. But heck, this year they got the quarterback, potential Heisman Trophy winner. They got a team that plans on making a run in the college football playoff. They just want to keep it rolling. They don't want the deck stacked against them every single year from an optics standpoint.
Yeah. And, Clark Lee gets a lot of credit for this, but how about our former colleague, Barton Simmons, running the recruiting department over there for the last couple years? Shout out to those guys, just doing a heck of a job. And like you said, Steve, imagine they've done more with less to this point. Now that they've got the wins coming, maybe you get the boosters back behind you, get a little money behind it, and things really start taking off.
And we're not saying less players. We're saying less resources. They went out there and found players under the
they found guys that fit what they do.
Under the circumstances that they're in. They went out and found guys in the portal, found JUCO guys, found grad transfers, and found high school guys, and blended it together with a great culture, great scheme, great strength and conditioning, great leadership. But to consistently win at the level that Coach Lee is capable of winning, it's going to take a lot more. And Vandy looks to be moving in that direction. Stadium looked awesome. Fan base is there. But keep getting this man the resources. He's from Nashville. Family's in Nashville. It's like the perfect place for him to live with his kids and for them to see their family. But he's a competitive guy. That's why Vanderbilt is where they are. And so keep giving him the resources, and you'll have your coach that you'll eventually have to build a statue for. A hometown guy, hometown hero, leading Vanderbilt to their first win over LSU since 1990 and their first 6-1 record since before my parents were born back in 1954.
There you go. And if you want more of Steve Wiltfong's article, go to that QR code right there. You can get it all everything Steve's writing, and he's writing a lot today. Go check it out. All right, Vanderbilt fans, talk to us. If you're on Broadway, if you're wherever you are right now, maybe still in the stadium partying, but it is a party in Nashville for sure. Talk to us. How you guys feeling about the season? How you feeling about recruiting? Put it in the comment section below. Steve, let's move on and talk some Michigan, Washington, because there was a loaded list of visitors that watched Michigan take down Washington 24-7. We saw Bryce Underwood. You know, it's kind of hard because every week we say he might have had his best game, but he went 21-27, 230 yards, 2 touchdowns in 0 INTs for the former number 1 quarterback in the 26 class, Damon Williams. He was having a great season, threw 3 picks and 0 touchdowns in this one. Let's talk a little recruit reaction to the Michigan win.
This is an exciting win for the Maize and Blue as they get back on track after a tough loss on the road at USC. Across the country, they forced turnovers. As you said, Bryce Underwood playing at a high level. Michigan had some top recruits on campus. Washington was a sexy pick in this game to win pregame by several pundits. They could only muster up 40 yards of rushing offense, just 249 total yards. Williams, 3 picks, man, playing at a high level. Bryce Underwood, very efficient. He's only going to get better. I talked to the nation's number 3 receiver, Monshun Sales. What a day Monshun Sales is having. We're having a great day, but Monshun Sales started his day by going to the Big House. The Big House, one of the most historic venues in all of sports. Watched the wing helmets, touched the banner, got time with Coach Sharon Moore, Coach Bellamy. They told him he's the guy that they want at the position in 2027. Him and Quentin Burrell both on campus. And he says they got the guy. They got the quarterback. Now they need wide receivers. He enjoyed watching Bryce Underwood play. Michigan has always been one of his front runners. He said this program is back on track to compete for championships with the staff they have in place, with the way that they've been recruiting. Michigan will remain prominent in Monshun Sales recruitment. And now he's already at Notre Dame, man. He made it down to South Bend, a night game. You go from all the pageantry of the Big House to all the pageantry of Notre Dame Stadium in the rivalry game against USC. What a special day for Monshun Sales. But Michigan is one of the programs to watch in this recruitment. I would have had them ahead of Notre Dame coming into the day. Alabama, Ohio State, 2 of the front runners, LSU, Miami, Texas A&M, Oregon's some of the others he likes, and then Indiana, of course, is in the mix for Monshun Sales as well. Yeah. They had some flip offensive line targets there today. Sean Stover committed to Duke. Talked to him a little bit before the visit. Michigan offered in September. He's looking forward to just getting around the staff more, learning more about the Wolverines program and seeing how he fits in with the guys and players on the team. It's no slam dunk to flip someone from Duke. I mean, in modern recruiting, Duke has been armed for some of their key guys on the trail. Michigan saw firsthand last year with the linebacker they were both in on. But getting him on campus so quickly after getting an offer, it's obvious at the very least Sean Stover is intrigued by the Maize and Blue. Miami, Ohio commit Tommy Froman was also there from Loyola Academy in Wilmette, Illinois. He's 6'8", has just tremendous traits. Michigan was always going to take one more offensive lineman this cycle. And we talked about it on past whip-arounds and inside scoops that they were going to look for a senior riser, a guy with high upside traits. Sean Stover, someone they offered as a senior. Tommy Froman is another guy that they have on their radar. I've talked to Tommy. He said it was absolutely amazing. Playing for Coach Moore and the Wolverines would be an absolute dream since he's been going to games there his whole life. So I asked him if Michigan's the one to beat for him.
Yeah.
It is indeed looks to be trending that way. So we'll see if the Wolverines are on the gas for Tommy Froman.
Is this a situation where he just needs the okay to commit, or is Michigan trying to get him to flip? I mean, it's just a no-brainer, Steve. If you're committed to Miami of Ohio, I know you got plans. I know these things happen, but when the Michigan Wolverines offer you as an offensive lineman, I mean, How do you turn that down?
And he's been going to games there his whole life. Look, if Michigan's on the gas there, they're going to flip him. Sean Stover's on campus. Another offensive line target for Michigan right now is Adrian Hamilton. He's committed to Virginia Tech from Washington, D.C., St. John's. Michigan's done a great job in the DMV, and he's another guy that they're on the gas for. So who fills the spot? I think all we know for sure is that Michigan will add another offensive lineman. It could be one of the three names that we just talked about. Maybe it's someone else that pops up.
Yeah. And again, a really good group of commits on campus, including tight end Moose Ludwig, Carter Meadows, Louis Esposito.
I talked to Carter Meadows too. Let's see what Carter Meadows had to say. It's the recruit reaction show,
this
right?
This is the recruit reaction show.
Oh, yeah. And Tommy Froman is a take for the Wolverines. So there will be a Rivals prediction machine forecast going in my article right after we get done with this.
Let's go.
Article.
Recruit reaction had it first, though.
It's a cool live segment here. Carter Meadows back on campus, one of the jewels of this class, five-star freak pass rusher. Michigan's really churned out some pass rushers as of late here. The environment was something special, double exclamation mark. Felt great to be back home and welcomed by Wolverine fans. The D-line was getting it after it today, so it was exciting to see that. Really looking forward to putting on the maize and blue. Carter Meadows locked in with the Michigan Wolverines, one of the biggest recruiting wins of the cycle for them. They beat Ohio State. They beat Penn State. They beat South Carolina to get Carter Meadows in the fold. Him and Savion Hyder, the two jewels of a terrific class that could ultimately still end up in the top 10.
Yeah, and top 150 edge Julian Walker was in Columbia, South Carolina again, watching another clunker from the Gamecocks, so safe to say he's probably locked in as well.
Well, I don't know. I mean, his dad's on the strength staff at South Carolina. He's been to 3 Gamecock games. South Carolina did have a good year last year. There's certainly reasons for him to like South Carolina. He's coming back to Michigan for the Ohio State game. He's bringing his mom. His mom hasn't been. He obviously fell in love with Michigan. He wants his mom to see it. Again, the way Michigan has produced edge rushers, the program, the standard they play at, he loves Michigan. He's left the door open for South Carolina. He visited North Carolina. We'll see what happens. I think Michigan knows that's going to be a battle, but one that they're all in on, one of their most coveted targets, one of their best commits. So we'll see what happens with Julian Walker. He'll be back for the Ohio State game as Michigan tries to make that one 4 in a row. And the way they played against Washington, Michigan's young. They need to bolster that wide receiver room, but they're physical. They're always going to be strong on defense. And what they're going to do in the portal and the way they're recruiting, and they have their quarterback in Bryce Underwood, I think it's only a matter of time before we see Michigan back in the college football playoff conversation, back in the conversation to win the Big Ten championship. Maybe not this year, but they still have a chance. 5-2 right now against a Washington team that, as we said at the top of the block, they were the sexy, hey, they're going to beat Michigan today pick. And the Wolverines showed that they could respond after losing a tough one on the road to USC. The culture at Michigan is super strong. What's just sometimes kind of dumb about our profession is if Michigan would have lost this game today, there would have been people writing, hey, is Sharon Moore the guy? It's just college football is in a weird place right now, but Michigan's in a great place with the big win over Washington today, and we'll see if they can keep it rolling as the season continues.
Yeah. Let's move on and talk a little Georgia Ole Miss right now, because we got a top 10 matchup in Athens. Dogs and Rebels going on as we speak right now. There's some big time recruits in Athens as well. Did Penn State linebacker commit Elijah Littlejohn make it in?
I know he was slated to be there. I haven't been able to look to see if he did arrive on his visit yet, but it looks
that could get interesting, knowing Georgia is kind of in need of a linebacker here, maybe two.
And their linebacker pedigree, of course. Look, Ole Miss is up 9. If they win, it'll be Lane Kiffin beating Georgia for the 3rd time in 4 tries. Why would you? Where else can you go? And I mean, you're already accomplishing everything. Now you just need to find the consistency as a program. If Georgia wins it, or if Ole Miss wins this game again, it's really about just Coach Kiffin getting his team to answer the bell every round. He has shown the potential of this program. that they can win the big games. Beating Georgia 3 times out of 4 years, only Alabama can say that. And so they've answered the bell every time this year. They're on their second quarterback and still playing at a high level. They've done great in the transfer portal. They got some really talented players. They are exciting on offense. Jeff Brom, Lane Kiffin, two of the best, if not the best, offensive mind head coaches in the country. And Ole Miss looking for their third win over Georgia out of 4. And if they win this one, it'd be interesting to see how that shapes up for the rest of their class, as they're in on guys like 4-star offensive lineman Micah Champ-Smith. They're battling Ohio State for him. But now kind of pivoting this to Georgia, Tyreek Jemison's on campus, an in-state offensive lineman that was committed to Kentucky. He told me that Georgia offered today. So you got to feel good about Georgia.
Yeah, that's kind of, I was going to ask you if they were going to offer it. So they got him on campus and offered him once he arrived? That makes sense.
Yeah, I'm still waiting to hear how his trip's going. Obviously, he's enjoying the game between the hedges.
Yeah.
But the Bulldogs offered him a scholarship today. And so they have some terrific 2027s on campus. And obviously some 2028s, but
hold on. Before we get to hold on. I wanted to ask you about FIU running back Quantavious Wiggins. He was expected to be on campus, and we were talking about him last week or the week before when he showed up at Florida State. He's been some other places. Georgia, some things are up in the air with Jay Lamar right now. They might need another running back. Is Quantavious Wiggins a take for Georgia right now, or are they still feeling that one out a little bit?
I'm still learning. Auburn also offered Wiggins right after Florida State did. And so he's someone, same backfield as Carson Baker, committed to Florida. Going into this week, Wiggins had the slight statistical advantage, but both playing at a high level for an undefeated football team. If Georgia offers an in-state target, they're taking it, sure, especially this late in the game. So that's something to kind of pay attention to. Tyreek Jemison getting offered today, definitely intriguing. And they're looking to rally. They're down 9, 15 minutes to go. If Georgia loses this ball game, their pulse is weak to make the college football playoff and beyond.
Yeah, I would say so. Now, when it comes to 2027, did Brock Williams make it in, the number 1 tight end in America?
Again, I haven't checked the list, but I heard he was coming and would have expected him to make it to campus. Joshua Samapel is someone that they are very high on, that they've already had to a couple games this year. Mark Matthews, they're looking to make a move on, the likes of Miami, Florida State. Ohio State is the one he's high on. Had a good visit to Texas A&M and Notre Dame this year. Cooper Witten did not visit, so that visit did not happen. Right. Jabaiah Smith, in-state player, number 5 linebacker in the country. Dante Wright was just at Oregon, so good to have him back. He's having a terrific junior season, committed in the 2027 class.
All right. Well, we will be talking a lot more Georgia recruiting, a lot more Ole Miss recruiting heading into the week. This game is still finishing up. Georgia fans, talk to us. If this thing goes the way it's going right now, what changes need to be made at Georgia to get things back on track? Let us know. Comment section below. All right, Steve, let's talk a little Indiana. Michigan State going on as we tape this, but big list of recruits on campus in Indiana, or at Indiana for this one. Who are you expecting?
Well, they have a lot of in-state guys on campus this weekend, as the Hoosiers now have more to point to in trying to keep these key prospects home. Guys like safety Caleb Elkins coming to campus this weekend. Mason Oglesby's a tight end that also attended the win over Illinois, could also play linebacker. Michigan recently offered. Jace Brewer is an edge rusher from Franklin Central that has Notre Dame and Tennessee high on his list, but Indiana definitely in a really good spot. Jahide Brown is a very exciting receiver from Louisville that Alabama's been trending for. So if you kind of listen to the mantra of this segment, Indiana is in a different recruiting stratosphere than we're used to seeing them. We used to see them recruiting against Purdue and Iowa State, and not that there's anything wrong with that. They're now recruiting against some of the best programs in the country after showing they can beat them on the field. Sean Fox, a linebacker, edge rusher from Indianapolis, Warren Central on campus. They absolutely love Montana Torbert. He is a 4-star corner, from Cincinnati Taft, or a Rivals 300 prospect, I should say. Gideon Gash is a priority recruit from Detroit Central Catholic that they got down the campus. So just some really good players. The number one player in the state in 2028, Maddox Wheel, he is a receiver. So Indiana, 3 more home games, including this one, using the momentum of beating Oregon to get guys like Roman Igwebicki on the campus to see the program. Matt Sieg, a safety, committed to Penn State, in for an official visit. So that's big.
What do you think the extension of Curt Cignetti does, not just for the program, but for recruiting as well?
Well, obviously it guarantees that you're going to have a really good football coach if you continue to consider Indiana. I mean, the guy that obviously gets the best out of his players, the best out of his program, and you're going to get structure and you're going to get consistency, and the head coach isn't going anywhere. So with Indiana, when they're on your short list, depending on who else you're looking at, who's going to be coaching you from the corner office. Yeah. And it's a coach that's had tremendous success everywhere he's gone and has taken a program, Indiana, to heights that they've never been as a program. He's the best coach in Indiana football history. No disrespect, Lee Corso and Coach Mallory, who had a really good run, actually coached my wife's dad at Miami, Ohio. But Curt Cignetti has Indiana winning games that they've never seen before. They're competing for the Big Ten championship this year, and certainly on track for a second straight appearance in the college football playoff, as long as they don't trip up. But what we've seen from Coach Cignetti and his staff in a year and a half is, if it's a game that they're supposed to win, they win by 5 touchdowns.
Yeah.
I mean, that Purdue Oak and Bucket game last year in terrible winter weather, they destroyed Purdue. What an awful Saturday for the Boilermakers. Pummeled Illinois, pummeled Nebraska last year with game day in town, pummeled Illinois, beat Iowa on the road, and now they're thumping Michigan State. Like, they're a little slow start by Indiana standards, but now they're up 25 points with 1 quarter to go, and they're going to try and score a couple more times. There's no question. There's no doubt in my mind, as Mendoza shoots for the Heisman Trophy. Look at how efficient a day, 20 of 23, 300 yards, 4 touchdowns throwing. That's as efficient a day as you can have. They're going to try and score a couple more. They want Mendoza to win the Heisman Trophy. They want to win every game by dominant fashion. They want to show – every week they're showing – fighting for respect, that they are the best team in America. They're currently ranked number 3, but they'll have a chance to prove that they're number 1 overall. They'll get a shot at Ohio State in the Big Ten title game, or someone of that magnitude.
Yeah, I think a lot of teams would be a better team with the attitude that Indiana plays with. Reminds me kind of when Kirby arrived at Georgia. You got to have a reason. And it just seems like Indiana wants to be considered with those other programs. And if people keep, they're going to make it so you can't ignore them. Like you said, they're just beating teams' asses out there. 35-10 right now. And like you said, they're going to hang another 2 or 3 touchdowns before this one's over.
Josh, so their secret sauce is culture and then schematics. I mean, they have between Curt Cignetti, Mike Shanahan, and Bryant Haynes, that combination of head coach, offensive and defensive coordinator is really only rivaled by a few programs. And Indiana is on both sides of the ball, incredibly dominant and fun to watch. They have the number 8 total offense in college football right now. And they have the number 4 total defense in college football. They're number 4 in scoring defense. They're number 4 in scoring offense. They're number 3 in passing efficiency. They're number 5 in turnover margin. They're number 2 in team passing efficiency defense. They are as balanced an operation. The players can play fast and physical because they understand what is asked of them pre-snap, and then they go out and execute at a high level because this coaching staff understands how to communicate with them and put them in the best positions to be successful Saturday in and Saturday out.
You think Tino Sunseri regrets leaving for the UC? Maybe we can get him on. I mean, he's not really doing anything. Maybe he could come on some of these recruit reaction shows.
Coach Sunseri, obviously great energy, just a positive guy that helped Coach Cignetti and this coaching staff at their previous stop, and then certainly here at Indiana, was a factor in year one. He shot his shot. He got a promotion to go to UCLA, man. And with a second-year coaching staff, who would have thought that they would have got fired 3 games into the season? Yeah. But they did. And so we'll see where he lands moving forward. He certainly won't be a free agent for long, but Indiana, their coaching staff is phenomenal. Coach Whitmer filled the shoes of Coach Sunseri and has done a really good job of recruiting that position for them. They already have one of the top 2027 quarterbacks in the country committed in Jamison Purcell out of Maine South in Chicago. So Cignetti, he's as good as you can see in college football right now. And Indiana's up 25 and another game closer to the Big Ten title game. And if they make the Big Ten title game, they're for sure playing in the college football playoff, because you're not going to fall behind teams that didn't play in their conference championship. So both teams that play in the Big Ten title game are in the college football playoff. I hear some people hemming and hawing in interviews about teams that make any conference championship. If you're in the Power Four, if you're in a P4 conference championship, with maybe the exception of the Big 12, you're in. You're in the playoff if you make the championship.
Yeah. All right, let's move on. Steve, what do you say we head over to South Bend? Let's talk a little bit about this USC Notre Dame game from a recruiting perspective. Game's about to kick off as we speak right now. Big group of commits on campus, but there's also some elite juniors, headlined by the number 1 running back in America, Kamon Spell, fresh off that decommitment from Penn State. He was probably going to do it before James Franklin got fired, but with the James Franklin firing, Spell reopened that recruitment, and he is fully back on the market. What do you make of his first visit coming off that decommitment to Notre Dame?
Well, that's just timing. How could he have known James Franklin was going to get fired the week of the Notre Dame game? He was always visiting for the Notre Dame game. This visit didn't just pop up because Coach Franklin got fired. And if Coach Franklin was still the head coach at Penn State, he'd be committed to the Nittany Lions. Notre Dame was viewed as one of the biggest challengers, relationship with Coach Sider. Coach Freeman's been involved for a few months now. Notre Dame's got maybe the best running backs duo in college football. And so it's an exciting place to play that position for Coach Sider, Coach Freeman. They played in the title game last year. Their margin for error is very slim where they're at this season, but a big opportunity in a huge rivalry game against USC, a night game. The Golden Dome will be sparkling. Touchdown Jesus will be lit up. Notre Dame's a special place. Kamon Spell is getting a feel for that this weekend, and Notre Dame's in there. So is Ohio State. So is Georgia and several other programs, but Notre Dame shooting its shot with Kamon Spell. Manchun Sales, the number 3 receiver in the country. He's been to Notre Dame twice now this fall, went to the Texas A&M game, went to the Blue Gold game. He's already made it back after visiting Michigan earlier today. They're trying to make a move on Alabama, Ohio State, LSU, Indiana, Miami, Texas A&M, some of the others in the mix there. The 5-star edge rusher David DJ Jacobs is a headliner at Notre Dame out of the Peach State. Georgia, Miami, Texas A&M, some of the other front runners, but he is a personality fit at Notre Dame. Kyle Kelly from Blue and Gold Illustrated tweeted a picture of David Jacobs. He has a pretty cool Notre Dame sweatshirt on that I'd never seen before. That's kind of unique. I think the Irish are more in that one than people are giving credit for. We'll see how the weekend goes and beyond. Chris Whitehead's the number 5 edge in the country. He was really looking forward to this visit. Ohio State, Tennessee, some of his favorites. Notre Dame's in a great spot for the number 4 tight end, Jack Brown, coming in. They're in a really good spot for number 5 tight end and legacy recruit Seneca Driver, the nephew of former player Tony Driver. Rivals number 4 corner Xavier Hassan did not make it. He went to South Carolina today, but the number 5 cornerback DeVay Williams did make it. Notre Dame trying to make a move on USC and Nebraska there. I have an old Rivals prediction machine pick for Notre Dame for 4-star running back Amir Brown. He threw me a curveball and committed to North Carolina. He just decommitted from the Tar Heels. Sam Spiegelman has now logged a pick for the Irish, which makes me feel even better about my old pick for Notre Dame. Some other interesting names. Notre Dame's one of the favorites for 4-star tight end Jackson Dollar. They're one of the favorites for James Halter, who's a terrific 2027 offensive line recruit. I think they're in a great spot for Isaac Miller from Wisconsin, who's been down the campus a couple times. And then certainly in 2028, you got guys like the number 1 defensive lineman, Marcus Fakatu, on campus, number 2 edge, Asser Giotto, Dawson Jacobs, DJ Jacobs' younger brother, Darian Prescott, the number 4 edge from Chicagoland. These are all guys that Notre Dame's going to have a great shot to land. Theo Schott is a 2028 from Zionsville, Indiana, where I live. He's visiting Notre Dame today. If the Irish offer him, they will be one of the front runners, if not the favorites, for Theo Schott.
All right. Well, this is a pivotal game for both USC and Michigan, or I'm sorry, Notre Dame, for USC and Notre Dame. Notre Dame could be headed to a big-time bowl, or it could be a disappointing season. Really depends how this game goes. We'll see what happens. We'll be talking more about the recruiting fallout from this all week long here on the Inside Scoop and the Wiltfong Whip Around, so stay tuned for that. All right, Steve, we got one more game to talk about.
Yes.
It's a big one.
The third Saturday of October.
There it is. You knew the date. That's what we're talking about. Alabama hosting Tennessee. There are some big-time recruits in Tuscaloosa for this one, Steve. Set the table.
Well, they offered the number 5 receiver in the country, Keyshawn Bowman. He's on campus. Ole Miss, Tennessee, Ohio State, Oregon, some of the favorites there. They have a lot of their commits back on campus in the 2027 or 2026 class, a class that ranks number 6 nationally. They have some flip targets on campus on the D line. Georgia defensive line commit Corey Howard, Mississippi State defensive line commit Caleb Morris, North Carolina defensive line commit Viliami Moala was expected. I'm not sure if he made it in, but he's also been committed to Oregon. So a third commitment, certainly can't rule that out when you've already been committed to 2 schools. And then they have a 2026 running back that's really lighting it up from Georgia, committed to Georgia Southern. He's from West Lawrence High in Georgia. His name's Ty Cummings. He's averaging over 13 yards per carry, 1,500 yards, 19 touchdowns going into his game this week. Xavier Crowell, who's committed to Alabama, 5-star, who I think is as plug and play as it gets in this cycle. He's having that kind of year, averaging 13 yards per carry, almost 1,300 yards and 17 touchdowns himself going into the weekend, or going into his game this weekend. He looks like an instant impact player for Kalen DeBoer. He's back. He looks locked in. It's about the quarterbacks for me in 2027, Josh. They have 2 really good ones. Elijah Haven, he's the number 1 rated quarterback in 2027 per the Rivals Industry. And then Trent Seaborn out of Alabaster Thompson. Haven and his family have called Bama a perennial winner. They really like Coach Sheridan. They feel like it's a good opportunity to come in there behind a guy like Keelan Russell. And so with the way that LSU's playing right now, the way that Florida's playing right now, Penn State fired their coach, the way that Auburn's playing right now, those are the other top schools for Elijah Haven. So Alabama is playing very well. Their coaching staff is doing a fantastic job. He has great relationships with the staff, loves the development, guys like Michael Penix, what they did at Washington's. Alabama, just on the surface, looks like they are in a really strong spot for Elijah Haven, with the opportunity to continue trending towards the number 1 spot that Florida currently held going into the season, I should say. And Trent Seaborn, if they're on the gas for him, he's really high on Miami. He's really high on South Carolina. He's really high on Oregon. But I would find it hard to him not to go to Bama. He's talked about playing for the home state with guys he's grown up with. He's called it a special opportunity, and he feels like the offense really matches his skill set. He's accurate. He can get it to the playmakers. He processes quickly. He makes smart decisions, and he can take advantage of the weapons. He's having a great junior year. So is Haven, and Alabama's in a great spot for both of them.
When do you think Haven decides? Because we got Kavian Bryant coming off the board November 1. At that point, half of the top 10 quarterbacks will be committed somewhere. So Elijah Haven, I mean, he can punch his ticket anywhere he wants to go. I'm not saying he's going to decide, he needs to decide soon, but is this coming down to it?
Well, I thought there was a chance he could pop to Florida this fall. So
yeah.
I don't know if that's going to happen now. And so we'll see how this goes this weekend with Alabama against Tennessee. Just a terrific opportunity and a special atmosphere at a special place with as much tradition as any program in the land.
Yeah.
They beat Tennessee tonight. I wouldn't be surprised if we're liking Alabama's position more and more for Elijah Haven.
Yeah, regardless of what happens tonight, this Alabama staff knows how to conduct a big visit weekend. These win or lose, these Alabama recruits are going to be in for a great experience, a memorable experience here in Tuscaloosa tonight. And there's going to be some recruits on campus, maybe not committing today or tomorrow, but some of these guys on campus will end up suiting up for the Alabama Crimson Tide at some point.
Sure. And then for Tennessee, look, you have a top 10 recruiting class. You're looking to do it again in 2027. You got some flip targets out there. Guy like running back Amari Latimer, who's trending towards Ohio State, who's pummeling Wisconsin, where he's currently committed. Tennessee's been working to get him to campus. A couple times it looked like it was going to happen. He hasn't. So my prediction's on Ohio State because I think he's going to flip. Okay. But if the balls get him to campus, all hands on deck, man. That's going to be a war with Tennessee and Ohio State. He just made it to Ohio State's campus, and there's some good buzz around the Buckeyes there. But they're looking for another tight end. Maybe they take another pass rusher in the cycle, and then they're getting ahead with some elite 2027s. They can beat Alabama tonight. That would be 3 times in 4 years, and the first time they wanted Bryant Denny in I don't know how long.
We will see what happens, and we'll be talking recruiting fallout all weekend. And if you want to see anything else that Steve is writing, click that QR code right above me right there, and you can get all the Steve Wiltfong articles that you would ever want. All right, guys. Thanks for hanging out with us on another Saturday night for Recruit Reaction. What a fun week. Like I said, it's all downhill from here, Steve. We had the first half of the season, and we are officially into the second half of the season. So enjoy it while it's here. Enjoy it while it's here. Thank you guys for being with us. We will see you again on Sunday for the Inside Scoop. We'll see you Monday with the Wiltfong Whip Round. And as always, we'll be right back here on Saturdays for Recruit Reaction. See ya.